This is the 321 Coyote Swap Whipple Supercharged S1997 Mustang. Hey everyone, Grant from Spectre Racing. So this took a lot longer than I thought it would. So we last left you with the engine on the engine cradle. So basically I just put dropped the Mustang K-member, put the motor on that, and with some wheel dollies put it underneath the car, and then dropped the Mustang onto that, bolted it all up, went in easy. All right, some of you might wonder the wacky intercooler routing I have here. So from Whipple, all of the inlets and outlets are supposed to go into a large tank down there, which they'd never really supported this chassis that much. So I would be on my own, honestly. And this kit I got was the dev kit from VMP. So I didn't actually get any of that anyway. I don't want all that weight up front. So I kind of did my own routing, courtesy of Home Depot and Lowe's. And actually did buy a VMP double inlet reservoir. I recently found out Whipple does make AN fittings. So I'm going to make this look a lot nicer, and they have better Y fitting than just plumbing from Lowe's. But this does seem to work, and I haven't run any leaks or anything. Performs great, and most importantly, it keeps the weight away from the nose of the car. So all I have in the nose of the car is just a small heat exchanger to get the high-speed air. And I have the larger heat exchanger in the trunk. So one of the things about the wiring with I'm using the Make It Modular wiring swap, which did require no splicing, nothing whatsoever. Even with the Whipple Supercharger, VMP actually makes a MAF splicer for the for superchargers, so you don't even have to do any splicing there. They don't really advertise they sell it, but you can. But anyway, zero splicing. However, the wiring is a bit of a mess. So, because most of the wiring all gets jammed in right there. I cleaned it up as best I could. I really didn't feel like shortening and re-terminating everything. I spent a lot of time making sure nothing was going to get loose or get near anything hot. So just keep that in mind if that bothers you. It doesn't really bother me. So with the motor in the car came the process of connecting everything. Didn't really run into too many issues there, with the exception of fuel. I used some cheaper fuel lines, and that was a mistake. I ended up having to pull the supercharger off 2 times, which this thing is 90-ish pounds, maybe more, so I needed 2 or 3 people, and it's in the dead center of the car, and you don't have a lot of room because everything is just crammed right in there. So that was very difficult. I actually ended up accidentally tuning the car with a small vapor leak, which didn't affect the tune, but it did affect the starting procedure and some of the idle control. We ran into issues. But let's get into tuning. Okay, so next up was first start with the car. Ran into a lot of problems here. Since this is a Boss 302, a 2013 ECU that I bought from Coyote Swap place. I can't remember the name of it. But it has what's called PATS Delete, which is protective anti-theft. So you have 2 options for tuning a stock ECU. You have HP tuners and you have SCT. Well, I already had an SCT device, so I worked with a tuner, Joe Goodnow. He was the former master tuner at VMP for over 10 years. Fantastic tuner. We could not get SCT to work with this kind of a hodgepodge of generation, but really it was just kind of the PATS Delete just did not want to work with the SCT X4 tuner. We switched over to HP tuners, worked fine. No issues with HP tuners. Now, getting into tuning the car, because this is, and keep in mind, this does have the full build list on the website, but this does have the Supercharger cams. I couldn't find stock cams, which the Supercharger cams aren't really super needed. They're the stage 1, I believe. But it did make it a little bit more difficult to tune, and we're kind of tracking some vacuum leaks here and there, considering the Gen 6 Whipple kit that I have is a 11 to 14 kit, and this is an 08 Mustang, so the chassis are theoretically the same, but everything's a little bit different. The ABS system's a little bit different, so some of the seams didn't match up perfectly. I had to get all that working good, and my sound tube caused a vacuum leak, so Joe got it all working. The idle control was probably the hardest thing to kind of nail down. And keep in mind, I'm also tuning this on pure X85. This is racy, sort of racy 85. It's just really pure E85. And we were also doing this when it was about 56 degrees, so I installed a block heater on the Mustang to get the, basically E85 does not want to ignite below 50 degrees. So that became a little bit more difficult. As the weather gets warmer, this shouldn't be much of a problem going forward. Okay, I'm sure one of your questions is, do all the gauges work? Well, the real question is, did all my gauges work before? And the answer to that is, not really, but they do work. And I even connected the evap. So you can kind of see, and you can see I bought a Haltech system. This is an OBD system. I had meant to put it in place of my dash. However, the custom insert I ordered all the way from Australia didn't really fit. So I just shoved it there. This I have set up, and I'm going to wire in some custom sensors too. I'll do a more in-depth video, but we actually sell this dash layout. But this is my warning system, and also has revs and stuff. But anyway, yeah, all the dash lights work. I actually got no codes. I connected all the evap system, Matt's wiring, all worked. And the only thing that I didn't like about the Make It Modular swap is you lose communication with the ABS module. So anytime you want to do an ABS purge, you have to do it the hard way. Or go buy another ECU and connect it, which is a pain in the ass. Or go buy an old ECU and connect it, which is a pain in the ass. So you're going to be doing lots of hard stops in the neighborhood or on the highway or something, not in public roads, and just bleeding it the hard way. So do not get air into the ABS. So that's probably going to be one of my next upgrades, is a more race spec ABS that's independent of the system itself. So after we got the basic just street tune, did break-in miles. And keep in mind, this is a race car. I did a lot of what's called heat cycling break-in. So I just did a lot of short sessions, getting everything up to temp, coming back, basically just driving around my neighborhood, terrorizing everybody there. I can't really drive this around too much. It's kind of a race car. It's not really safe. There's no airbags or any of that stuff. But then came the dyno tune. So we have the 375 pulley on the car. However, first pass on the pulley on the dyno tune, it made 750 wheel horsepower and like 630 wheel torque, which is a little bit. It's about spot on what we really wanted, but Joe had to do some tweaks here and there. We had the second pass, we actually did 775 wheel. Super impressive, but probably a little bit too much, because you start to worry about, it's not about the power when you're doing road course, about longevity, heat. I need this to be manageable. This all was only at 14 psi, keep in mind. Whereas the 3-valve previous motor was doing over 170 horsepower less at 15 psi. So the final run, we did basically 750, 603 wheel torque at 14 psi, and with the caveat I was going to have Joe come back and do the 385 pulley, which he's already done. So now this thing is making the same amount of power at 12.5 to 13 psi, which is just incredible. The fuel is incredible, and this supercharger is super efficient. And timing-wise, one of the reasons why we went up the pulley is that timing was just ultra conservative. With the fuel and the supercharger, the motor just wants to make power. Okay, so a lot of you might be interested in the weight of the car. I did take this to get corner balanced. So we ended up at 36.98 and the corner balance, which is pretty good. It was only about then 30 or 40 pounds more for the motor. Now at the time of the corner balance, I did not have the splitter on, and I did not have the rear wing, and I did not have the engine or the cabin fire suppression. So probably add about 20-30 pounds. However, I have since put on forged wheels, so it's probably around the 3,700 pound weight range. Okay, so on to testing. So with the dyno tune done, what I like to do is kind of ease into testing after doing some street driving, terrorizing neighbors, go into autocross. Autocross is just a good test, especially if the suspension, seeing how the car handles. Keep in mind, it has the Boss 302 RS steering rack, which is really just the same steering rack, but you can buy it new as opposed to buying a remanufactured or an old one. And it just is slightly more aggressive steering. I don't know if I like it as much as the old hydraulic steering. It feels a little bit more numb, but I want to get some more events in, especially doing some more track events, not just autocross. The car definitely felt a little bit more nose heavy. The car kind of heavier overall. I'll be excited to try. That was not on the forged wheels, which are almost 8 pounds per wheel lighter because I'm going from 18 to 19 or 19 to 18. And obviously, performance-wise, with on a cold day, it's going to make closer to that 775 wheel horsepower. It absolutely lights the tires. It is just insane how fast it is. And actually, when I went on to do the track testing, which did not go well because I ran into a bunch of other problems unrelated to the car, I nearly broke the splitter because the car was so incredibly fast in a straight that I wasn't used to it, as I haven't driven on track in a while now. So, but get more practice in, and I did switch out to get more aggressive brake pads, and I've recently put on brake ducting because I figure you add all this power, you're going to need more brakes then. That's going to be the next weak point, honestly. And as opposed to performance, the intake air temperature, the E85 always performs amazing. And especially now with the Whipple, which has a much more efficient intercooler design. So you have these double intercoolers up top, and then I also increased the size of the front mount heat exchanger, and I still have the rear mount heat exchanger that uses a parachute effect to get air out of the car at speed from the back, which also moves weight to the back as opposed to ruining the handling by shoving a giant heat exchanger up front. But with that, I have another video coming out. We're going to talk about some of the removable splitter stuff I did, and then instantly braking all of that, and then start getting into the first couple of races, hopefully. So, thanks for watching. If you have any more questions or anything you'd like to see about the Coyote Swap, be sure to let me know.